Mic check, mic check. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Monday, June the 1st, brand new trading month here. Overall markets continue to push towards the upside. We'll kind of talk about some of the main watches looking coming into this week. I mentioned it in the weekend video on my second channel. Microsoft and a couple software names push up nicely here, really been the theme last week, and you can see so far, at least this week, we've had a nice push on a couple of those ones. With that being said, before we head on to the charts, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning, Kelvin, Omar. Good morning, Victor, Maria, A3. Yeah, Microsoft, that one really nice mover. This one's almost filling that full gap that we talked about. Next level is all the way back up and towards 477, but this one, as you can see, almost filling that full daily objective. We'll talk about that a little bit more. What's up, Andy? Good morning, Knight, Vate, Deuce. Good morning, Martin. What's up, Wall Street, Robert, B Roots, Funny, Francisco. Good morning, Gerald, Cinna, Zenor, Slam It. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's pull up the economic calendar and then we will head on to the charts. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about some of the red folder news events that we have coming into this week. As I mentioned, the red folder news event as of late hasn't really been affecting the market as much. The main things, of course, are like CPI, FOMC, core PPI, at least for the economic calendar coming into this week. We do have ISM manufacturing that is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Some other things to keep an eye out for: Jolt's job opening. On Wednesday, we have the ADP non-farm enrollment change, along with the ISM services. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Thursday, unemployment. And then, of course, on Friday, we have the average hourly earnings, along with the non-farm enrollment change with the unemployment rate, as that's going to be on Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So not really too many things to keep an eye out for this week. We'll see how some of these red folder news events impact the market. There are a couple other news events to keep an eye out for here as well. Let's pull up the earnings calendar. So the earnings calendar last week, we had a couple notable earnings, which was Dell. That one ended up pushing very nicely towards the upside. Other couple key ones to keep an eye out for this week: AVGO. One of our main watches we talked about on the weekly outlook coming into this week. AVGO, this one breaking outside of its flat top break. We're starting to see potential. We had end up having a nice weekly candle close on AVGO. Plus, it has earnings this week as well, so that's something to keep an eye out for continuation. Other key ones to keep an eye out for: CrowdStrike. That's going to be on Wednesday as well. And those are the main notable ones to keep an eye out for. Everything else isn't as, you can kind of take a look at this if you'd like. You can also search this up. Just search up earnings calendar on Google if you want to see any names that do have earnings coming up. All right. With that being said, let's hop on to the charts. There's a decent amount of things to talk about coming into this week. Let's first talk about the QQQ on the weekly time frame. So as you can see here, some of the key levels that we have marked out on the Qs were very bullish, right? Every single dip so far is being bought up ever since we had these April lows. We haven't had any sort of significant pullback or any sort of weak price action whatsoever. Weekly is bullish. If you're looking at the daily, every single dip so far on the daily time frame has been bullish here as well, building up these higher lows. Next daily level that I have is actually back down in towards 720. So for the Qs, if we maintain above our 720, very much still intact for continuation towards the upside. So that could be our higher low here on the daily chart if it does want to pull back, right? 720 valid for continuation higher. If we just continue towards the upside, right, that would of course be bullish as well. Going to the hourly time frame, so coming into today, right, a couple key levels that we have marked out. You can see higher lows are being built, broke above our all-time high 720. Now this is going to be our daily higher low here, of course, on the daily time frame. If you're on the hourly chart, really now we kind of like to see it maintain above this 736. So that's going to be our key level coming into this week. And today, of course, is at 736. So we can draw this out. This is our previous day lows. We have some multiple touches here from the past couple sessions. So at least coming to this week, maintain above our 736. Continuation towards the upside here is in play. So these are the levels that we have marked out. If you want to see longs for continuation above or previous day highs, or now it's going to be the bounce play here, offer 736 for continuation back towards the upside here as well. So this is what we have for the QQQ. If we break underneath that 736, then we can see a little bit more weakness. But as I mentioned, that's only if we break underneath our 736. Of course, the daily chart would still be very bullish. The weekly time frame would be very bullish. Even the hourly time frame would still be bullish here as well. This would be more so of a kind of like a 15-minute break of structure. I would be very cautious for some downside, but potentially that is in play if we do see a little bit more weakness underneath that previous day lows. If we go on to the NQ, fairly similar thesis here. I don't really have to go too in depth on the weekly time frame and the daily chart, but just know it's very bullish, right? Weekly's bullish, daily time frame, every dip so far is being bought up, right? It can pull all the way back down in towards that 29,600 and still be bullish for continuation on the daily chart. If you go into the hourly chart, key levels that I have coming into today, we're going to have that 350 marked out. That was one of our highs that we created last week, on Friday. Some nice buyers stepped in. And of course, in the overnight session, we end up having that nice rally right off that 3350. So coming into today, if we do want to see longs above our previous day highs or maintain above that 3350 for that continued pushback towards the upside here. So these are some of the scenarios that we have for the NQ. Break underneath, as I mentioned, and a hold underneath that 3350. You can see a little bit more downside coming into market open. So that's what we have coming into today. Now let's go on to the SPY chart. So the SPY is a little bit more bullish. As you can see here, first, let's talk about this on the weekly. The weekly is very much intact. Not a single down close candle here on the weekly time frame ever since we bottomed from these April lows. If you go into the daily chart, similar thesis, right? Higher lows have been bought up. Now the key level here for SPY is going to be 750. That can the markets can pull back down towards that 750, still build a higher low here on the daily time frame. If we go into this on the hourly chart, key levels, some of the levels that we actually have marked out. Let's get rid of a couple of these. Oops. Some of the levels that we have marked out is down in towards that 750 that I talked about on the daily chart. For the hourly time frame, now we'd like to see it maintain above our 754 and preferably our previous day highs here now as well. Right, maintain above that 757 for continuation. If we pull back down in towards that 754, as I mentioned, still bullish, but it would actually get underneath our previous day highs and our previous day lows. So coming into today, what I'd like to see is SPY maintain above our 757, maintain above this for continuation towards the upside. This is really the only scenario for longs. Another possible scenario above our pre-market highs for continuation towards the upside. A break underneath our previous day highs and a hold underneath our previous day highs, we could see a potential mean reversion back down in towards that previous day lows. As I mentioned, I'll be a little bit more cautious on some downside. We haven't looked at downside. There's only been a couple nice movers towards the downside in probably the past 2 months, maybe like 3 to 5 trading sessions. But besides that, any major dips that we've had, we'd much rather go long back towards the upside. So for the SPY key level, previous day highs, we'll have that marked out today. Quickly go over the ES. Some of the key levels that we have on the daily time frame at least is going to be this 75.20. That can be our daily higher low for continuation higher. You can see a couple nice touches off that area. If you go back onto the lower time frames, that was one of our main objectives last week, our main levels. As you can see, buyers stepped in nicely for that break and retest for continuation. Now for today, similar level, what we're going to have marked out is that previous day highs. 70, basically our 76.10 for continuation towards the upside are now above our pre-market highs for continuation higher here as well. If we have a little bit of reaction, we can see a move back down in towards our previous day lows. All right, with that being said, let's go on to the SMH and then we will head on to some of the tech names that we have coming into this week. First, talking about the SMH, very much bullish, but we have slowed down just a little bit compared to the rest of the indices. We had a little bit of a rotation to a couple software names last week: Oracle, Microsoft, Palantir, ServiceNow. We've had a couple nice names back towards the upside, whereas some of the semis are slowing down, as I mentioned, just a little bit. You can see we're still bullish. This is what the weekly chart looks like. We end up having a little bit of an upper wick, followed up by a daily neutral close, but we're at all-time highs. So you can see opened up, end up having a nice push earlier into the week, and then we end up fading lower. Sorry, we actually end up driving lower first, pushing up higher, and then we kind of ended off the week, as I mentioned, at our all-time high. So weekly candle is, of course, bullish. If we look at the location, bullish here as well. A little bit of an indication that some sellers are stepping in. If we're looking at this, right, compared to the Qs had a little bit more of a stronger candle close here on that weekly chart. If you go into the daily time frame, this one recently broke above our all-time highs, that 580. Now, as long as we maintain above that 580, we can look for a continuation towards the upside. If you go back onto the lower time frames, you can see ever since we ended up making a brand new high after that long weekend, we ended up not making a new all-time highs in the actual market hours. So for the SMH, this one, as I mentioned, if you go onto the hourly time frame, what I personally would like to see here on the SMH is a maintain above our 580. I'd like to see buyers now actually be above this 585 as well. So we can either build higher lows above our 585 for continuation back towards the upside, or if we pull back now, we could potentially see this retest, which would be the 580 on the higher time frames. It would technically invalidate this higher low here on the hourly time frame, but if we kind of undershoot it, buyers step in, it'd still be bullish, of course, on the weekly, on the daily, and then the hourly. If it reclaimed, it would still be bullish and we can flip back towards the upside. So for the SMH key levels today, and what I have marked out is going to be our 602. That's going to be key. And we also have a couple key levels of support, 588 and all the way down and towards that 580. If we do want to see longs reclaim back above our 602, or as I mentioned, a couple bounce plays are in play earlier into this week, offer 580 or 588. All right, with that being said, let's hop on to some tickers that I have coming into market open here now. First things first, or actually, let's go on to a couple names. But if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Alrighty. What indicators? They're just a couple basic EMAs, 9 and 21. Still have one Microsoft con, nice. Yes, SpaceX IPO is coming up as well. That should be June the 9th. So that's next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. We'll talk about it a little bit more in depth, but it should have that. We should be having the SpaceX IPO fairly soon. All right, let's first talk about a couple names here. Tesla, this one's shaping up nicely. So daily, weekly time frame starting to build up some nice higher lows here. If we're looking at this daily chart as well, we still need to see that break above our 450 that I talked about. That's going to be key. So we are building up higher lows here on the daily, but the break above 450 is going to be key. That's also our yearly highs for continuation towards the upside. Until we break above, I'd be a little bit more patient. But once we break above that 450, it's in play for a move up and towards 500 and above. As for intraday, really not too much to talk about coming to this week. A couple of the levels that we have on Tesla is your 430. We can mark out our previous day lows here as well. But really for Tesla, we're kind of in between a couple key areas. So I haven't honestly looked at Tesla in the past couple of weeks. There's maybe been a couple nice trading opportunities here and there, but for Tesla, I'll be a little bit more hands off until we can break above that 450. At least for today, if you're interested in day trading it, you can potentially look for shorts underneath our previous day lows for continuation lower. If we can get above that 430, potential continuation back towards the upside is in play as well. As for Nvidia, let's talk about this one. This one is in a key spot here on the higher time frames. I guess I got rid of some of my drawings. But for Nvidia, some of the key levels that we have marked out is our previous all-time highs, where this is a very key level here, 210 on the weekly chart. So as you can see here, Nvidia is in a really key spot. On Friday, we had a little bit of end of month rebalancing, but Nvidia potential break and retest here on the weekly time frame is in play. If you look on the daily chart, this is exactly where I'd like to see a daily higher low be set. So you can see nice break, retest, continuation, break, retest. And now let's see if we can get that continuation back towards the upside here on NVIDIA above our 210. If you go into the daily chart, sorry, go into the hourly chart, key levels that we have marked out is going to be the pre-market highs, sorry, the earnings low, and we also have our previous day highs. So a couple of these key levels that we have marked out, 218 on the hourly chart, you can see this a little bit more clear, but you can see multiple touches, previous level of support turned into resistance. Now, if we want to see a continuation higher, we need to see that flip back above that 218. That's going to be key. If we reject off that 218, we're going to come right back down in towards that 210 here on the higher time frames, and potentially back down in towards that 208. So keep an eye out on that previous day highs coming to market open on Friday. We had a little bit of buyers stepped in, right? We kind of had this mini downtrend break that you can see. But at the end of the day, right, we had pretty big sellers, but so far we are bouncing off our 210 level of support. So keep an eye out on that previous day highs along with that previous day lows. As for AMD, key levels coming into market open. What are we going to have is going to be that 504. Let's actually go into the higher time frames on this one. So for AMD, right, weekly's bullish, of course. The daily chart showing some nice strength here as well. The next key level that I have on the daily, we could even see a pullback down in towards that 480. That's going to be that daily higher low. If AMD can pull back into that level, it's still going to show some, right? It's still gonna, market structure is gonna be intact, right? Daily higher low. This is just our previous all-time highs for continuation higher. If we look at this on the hourly time frame, for AMD now, right, we could see a push down in towards that 471, but so far you can see some buyers are stepping in off this 490. So for AMD, I like to see 490 hold for a continued push back towards the upside. If we do break underneath 490, the hourly higher low will be invalidated, and then we'll look for a daily higher low to be set above that 470. So coming into market open, some of the levels that I have marked out, previous day lows, and we also have, we can just kind of readjust this up into that kind of this like 480, 485 general area. So for AMD coming to market open, we like to see the bounce off our 488 are now above our previous day lows for a continuation all the way up in towards our 524 and above. So that's the key levels for AMD coming into this week. Shorts are in play for a potential pullback, but as I mentioned, I don't really like shorts, right? We do have a little bit of room if we can break underneath that that 480. Only way I'd be interested in shorts if we break underneath 480 and then maybe look for some sort of short setup where it's low risk and just targeting that 470. But as you can see, there's not too much room towards the downside. Let's go on to a few other tickers. Apple on the higher time frames, very much intact. Weekly's bullish, daily's bullish, of course. If you go on to the lower time frames, what do we have here on Apple? A little bit more consolidation. Key levels that we have marked out is our 313. If we do want to see continuation towards the upside, We need to see it break above our 313. You can see on Friday broke above, but kind of rejected off this area. Now the key levels that we have marked out as well, we can mark this out, previous day lows, which happens to be our 310. So if we want to see continuation here on Apple, preferably maintain above that 310 for continuation higher. If we do break underneath that previous day lows, we could see a little bit more downside here on Apple, down in towards that 306. But yeah, that's the key levels on Apple. For Google, this one kind of pulling back down in towards one of our daily key levels. So still bullish here on the weekly and of course on the daily chart. For looking at this on the hourly has been in a minor downtrend here after rejecting off our all-time highs. But the key levels here on Google is going to be this daily gap. So we're right in towards the key level. Preferably for Google, we like to see the reclaim back above for continuation towards the upside. We could see a similar kind of scenario where it comes all the way back down in towards this earnings gap level, down in towards that 360. But you can see it wouldn't invalidate this daily higher low, right? It has room all the way back down towards our previous all-time highs. Technically, Google would still be bullish if we came all the way back down in towards 350 for a daily higher low or even a weekly higher low. But I honestly would like to see Google create a daily higher low based off this 360 area. So preferably either the reclaim back above this 380 area for continuation higher, or we're going to have to create some sort of double bottom on the daily chart back down in towards that 360. So Google, I'd just be a little bit more patient on until we can either reclaim or come all the way back down. That's when I'd be looking for a potential opportunity on this one. As for Microsoft, so I talked about Microsoft last week. I talked about it a little bit more on the weekly outlook as well. So Microsoft, very bullish, weekly base. Once we broke above our flat top here on the daily chart as well, nice continuation towards the upside. So daily higher low here, creating this flat top break, and then we end up having nice continuation. Thursday, buyer stepped in. Friday, we end up having that move above our 430. And now you can see gapping up here over the weekend. Key levels that we have on Microsoft is going to be that full daily gap fill. So for Microsoft, we do have room now up in towards our 477 here on the daily time frame. Other key levels that we can have marked out, this 470, this general area. So you can see how quick this gap basically filled, right? As soon as we broke inside the gap on Friday, right, 430, we end up filling this earnings gap fairly quickly, right? Already back up in towards 470 here now. All right, we should be back now. If my stream just disconnected there very briefly, if you do have any issues, you can refresh the stream and everything should be good. Yeah, so for Microsoft coming into today, the key levels that we have marked out, right? Previous day highs, which of course is very far away. So we're not really going to be using this previous day highs as a reference. We're just going to use that first kind of opening range. That's going to be key on Microsoft. So with that being almost back at our daily gap right now, it doesn't make too much sense for obviously a swing trade and potential day trade, maybe up in towards our pre-market highs and that full daily gap fills in place. So we're going to have to use, as I mentioned, that opening range candle. For Microsoft, sorry, for Meta, this one looks pretty solid. Kind of broke outside of this mini range that we've had. Obviously, the daily time frame fairly neutral, but recently broke outside. Now we're retesting our 620. Let's see if we can get continuation back towards the upside here on Meta. A nice break and retest right off that 624. Now let's see if we can get that reclaim for a push back towards the upside here. So key levels for Meta coming into today is going to be our 638. That was one of our key levels. We also have our previous day highs here as well. So above our 638 or now maintain above our 636 for continuation back towards the upside. As for a few other names that we have here, Amazon just consolidating, not really too much to talk about. Weekly time frame still bullish. but now we like to see it make a brand new all-time highs. Netflix, not really doing too much here as well, so we're gonna be a little bit more patient. So coming into today, right, at least for some day trades to keep an eye out for, right? Some of the software names are continuing to push higher. I do expect a little bit of a pullback today on a couple of these ones after really kind of meeting most of its main objectives. But if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. So let's talk about Palantir. Palantir starting to see some buyers right off that 130, trying to break back above kind of this daily, or sorry, this weekly downtrend that we have here as well. So nice buyers that stepped in last week on Palantir, the past two sessions, and now we're closer to the top of the range here, which is our 160. We like to see break above 160 for continuation towards the upside, right? So this is kind of the range that we can just have drawn out. If we want to see continuation above our 160, we could see, as I mentioned, a little bit of seller step in today off that 160 for a pushback towards the downside. So some of the levels that we have marked out is exactly just going to be this 160 coming to market open. As I mentioned, above our pre-market highs now for continuation higher. We could even pull back down and towards that previous day highs and be bullish for continuation. MU continue to push towards the upside here. Some of the levels that we have marked out on MU, not sure why some of them were deleted, but for MU, the key levels that we have marked out is this kind of flat top that we mentioned last week for a continuation higher. This is the key level that we can have marked out. We broke above 980, right? Higher lows are just being built on the daily, the weekly, the hourly time frame. Higher lows are being built as well. And now we're having this nice gap up. So we just like to see now MU maintain above that previous day highs, continuation towards the upside. So MU 980, we also hit our 1,000 key psych level here today as well. So key levels today, previous day highs, and we also have our pre-market highs. So maintain a bullish bias here on MU above our previous day highs or now above our pre-market highs for continuation. As for a few other tickers, SNDK, nice all-time highs move here as well. This one just continue to push towards the upside along with MU and a couple other memory names. Nice continuation higher above our previous all-time highs here as well. So that's a nice push. Key level previous day highs. Intel is showing a little bit of weakness here. So it seems like we had some news potentially in the pre-market. Dropping this towards the downside. Intel's been lagging behind the overall markets compared to the rest of the semis. So Intel, what we have marked out was this wedge pattern. We talked about this a little bit last week. Intel was looking fairly solid, but had this pretty big rejection above our 125. Buyers weren't able to close above this higher time frame key area, and then we had a pretty strong sellers. This daily candle close fairly bearish, kind of broke underneath this trend line here as well, and now you can see we're pulling all the way back down and towards that 110. Still technically bullish on, of course, the weekly chart. The daily chart still is bullish here as well, but of course we just recently kind of broke underneath this trend line that we had. So now it's less bullish, right? The hourly time frame now flipped bearish, right? We kind of broke back underneath that 118, which was key, and now you can see in the pre-market showing a little bit more weakness. So for Intel, it seems like we're going to come all the way back down and towards that 106. Let's see if any potential buyers can step in for a daily double bottom here off that 106 coming to market open. If we break underneath that 106, there is room down in towards our 100. But personally for me today, I'd like to see maybe like a flush underneath 106 and then some buyers to step in, potentially a daily double bottom as I mentioned. Let's go into a few other tickers. Hood ended up having a nice push on Friday. So a couple names end up having a nice move Thursday, Friday of last week as some of the semis ended up pulling back. As for some other tickers, we can go over a couple other ones here now. Ticker symbol now end up having a nice push up in the pre-market, hit a couple of my main objectives. So now is something I've been taking a look at. Broke above our key levels. We recently hit our 126. Another level hit here in the pre-market as well, which is that 136. This one's very bullish, heavily kind of retail backed as well. Trump has a big position in this one. A little bit of reaction. Really, your key level today is going to be that previous day highs. Of course, your previous day highs isn't as much valid, similar to the day previous, since we have this pretty big gap up. So we're going to have to use our pre-market levels and base it off of kind of our opening range, which happens to be, right, we can mark out that kind of 5 and 15-minute opening range. If we're looking at this one, it has room. Next level is going to be back up and towards our 150. Currently, as you can see, we're in a very key spot, right? If you're positioned somewhere around 90 or 100, right, this is kind of your first take profit up into this 136. Good area to scale. Maybe now you can see a little bit of a pullback and then next leg up and towards that 150. But this is a good scale point here. Previous high plus our low that we created all the way back from a couple of years ago. So 136 is a good key area here for now. Let's go on to a few other tickers. We'll go on to Oracle. Oracle does have earnings in about 2 weeks here. We have earnings on AVGO this week, but Oracle was another one that I talked about in my top watches coming into this week. If you guys don't already know, I started making videos on the weekend. I mentioned there's kind of 5 names to keep an eye out for coming into this week. Most of them are already having a big push in the pre-market. Oracle now as well. Nice break and retest, or sorry, nice flat top break above our key levels last week, which was our 200 key psych. So daily higher lows and then nice break towards the upside. Oracle key level, previous day highs is going to be key. So mark that out coming into today. So you can mark this out. And now for Oracle, maintain above our previous day highs for continuation, or now above our pre-market highs for a pushback towards the upside here as well. So for a few other tickers, let's take a look at AVGO. This one, as I mentioned, has earnings. Recently broke outside, more so kind of forming here on the weekly time frame. But AVGO, nice break, retest, now continuation towards the upside. Earnings later into the week. If you look at this on the daily time frame, nice buyer stepped in, and now we're having this continued pushback towards the upside. Recently broke above our all-time highs. So the key levels that we have marked out, we can mark out this. Other levels that we can have marked out here as well is our previous day highs, 448. So coming to market open, we're gapping up here. We can mark out that previous day highs. We can mark out our pre-market highs. A couple scenarios for AVGO today: previous day high retest or the potential pre-market low retest for continuation back towards the upside here. All right. Let's go on to my main watches coming into today, and then I'm going to get ready for market open. Really, the game plan for today is to just maintain a bullish bias in the markets. As long as we're above key levels, in this case, above our pre-market highs, so our previous day highs for the most bullish case scenario, we could see a potential pullback down in towards our 738 and still be bullish here as well. For SPY, I like to see maintain above our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. As for some of the main watches coming into today, what we're going to keep an eye out on is some software continuation. That's been really strong the past 2 days, so we're going to continue to look for those ones right off the bat. Other setups to keep an eye out for: NVIDIA, more of like a swing kind of trade thesis above our 110, or sorry, 210, right? Above this level, and then potentially above our 218, a flip here on NVIDIA back towards the upside. AMD key level is going to be our previous day low reclaim for today above that 505. You can see a couple semis pulling back just a little bit here. But Microsoft, very bullish. We'll keep an eye on Microsoft for that full daily gap fill coming to market open. That's going to be mainly the main watches are some of the watches that we talked about on the weekend. So Microsoft now, AVGO, Oracle, Palantir, all those ones are moving nicely in the pre-market. Other names that end up having a nice move as well: ARM, basically nonstop on this one. So continuation towards the upside, another gap up above our all-time highs, up about 11% here in the pre-market. So for ARM, key levels, previous day highs very far away, so you can't use that previous day high level. Other levels that we have as well is going to be our pre-market highs along with our pre-market lows. So for ARM, keep an eye on that first opening range. Dell is one of names to keep an eye out for, right? Kind of an after earnings play, something similar to AMD. This is going to be one of my main watches within the next 1 or 2 days. Something very similar to AMD earnings back from May, right, where it had this nice pop, right, and then you see the kind of form this hourly flag continuation towards the upside. Dell, similar thesis here. Keep an eye out on this after earnings pop. And now, right, a little bit of consolidation. Hopefully, it can make a flag pattern. It could see continuation above our previous day highs here today. It would be better if it just kind of consolidated and then maybe move later into the day or tomorrow for a nice push higher. But keep an eye out on Dell within this week. This one should set up a very nice setup, very similar to AMD. Like it did after earnings. So we'll keep an eye out on Dell within the next 2 sessions. I'm expecting a big move after earnings. Yeah, that is going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, just keep an eye out on some softwares right off the bat. There are a couple semiconductors that are setting up here as well. We'll keep an eye out on Dell within maybe later today, and then tomorrow we'll take a look at this one. And then there's a couple other names. AVGO has earnings this week, so a couple things to keep an eye out on. Intel showing a little bit more weakness, so we'll see how that kind of shapes up. Potential nice buying opportunity right off our double bottom here on the daily. Right, 105 is a good area for potential reversal. It's not the most momentum setup, more so kind of a longer term. Now it's going to be more of a swing trade. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. Yeah, with that being said, I'm going to get ready for market open here now, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Peace.